On the 8th of April 2022, 58-year-old Vincent Medeiros was sentenced to 5 years in prison for killing his inebriated boss with a lethal chokehold in a hotel room that happened over 2 years ago. Vincent and the victim, 39-year-old Isaias Fino, both worked for an Arizona-based roofing company, and on the 5th of March 2020, they were assigned to work in New Orleans. They were staying at the La Quinta Inn and Suites Hotel, located at 2610 Williams Boulevard in Kenner. Isaias was a foreman known for his obnoxious and abrasive personality. It was just before 9:15 p.m. and he was drunk when he entered a hotel room that Vincent was sharing with a roommate. Isaias and Vincent's roommate started arguing and got into a physical altercation. Isaias then directed his anger at Vincent and started fighting him. Vincent then placed Isaias in a chokehold and Isaias started coughing and wheezing. Vincent's roommate then left the room to call the trio's supervisor to report Isaias' behaviour. Vincent kept choking Isaias until he stopped breathing and his body went limp and collapsed on the bed. When the roommate returned, Isaias was dead. The roommate then contacted 911 and when the authorities arrived, they found Vincent standing at the foot of the bed smoking a cigarette and looking down at Isaias' body. It was determined that Isaias suffered a thyroid cartilage fracture and died of asphyxia from strangulation. His blood alcohol level was 0.29, which is more than 3 times the legal limit for driving in the state of Louisiana. On the 7th of April 2022, Vincent testified that he put Isaias into a chokehold and that it was self-defense, and asked Isaias' family for forgiveness. The jury found Vincent guilty of negligent homicide, and on the 8th of April, he was sentenced to 5 years in prison. On the night of the 7th of April 2022, 43-year-old childcare owner Jennifer Adams Lafland was arrested and charged with abuse of a child after a 6-month-old baby suffered a head injury while in her care. Events unfolded at around 3:15 p.m. on the 7th of March 2022 at a home which doubles as a daycare centre located along 450 Tarragona Way in Daytona Beach, Florida. According to the authorities, the boy's parents dropped their infant son at what was to be his first day at the daycare, but when they brought him back home, they said he wouldn't eat and was constantly vomiting. At around 4:53 p.m, the child's mother questioned Jennifer about the boy's condition. Jennifer said that the child was sitting on the floor when another child fell on top of the boy, knocking him backwards and hitting his head on the hardwood floor. Jennifer said that the child did not lose consciousness or vomit after the alleged fall, and that she didn't notice any injuries on the child, except that the child began to cry. The boy's mother, however, told the authorities that her son was asleep and difficult to wake up when she collected him from Jennifer. The mother went on to say that she tried to feed her son, but that only caused him to vomit, prompting her to take the boy to the emergency room at the Event Health Hospital in Norman Beach. The child was found to have bleeding on his brain, as well as injuries to his head, wrist and eyes. These injuries were deemed inconsistent with a simple fall-like situation. Doctors said the injuries appeared to be more consistent with shaken baby syndrome. Police determined that Jennifer was the only person besides the other children at the home when the boy was injured, and that she was the only one with the strength to cause the child's injuries. After a month-long investigation into the matter, Jennifer was arrested and charged with aggravated abuse of a child. She was held at the Volusia County Jail, but was released on the afternoon of the 12th of April on a $150,000 bond.